Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV. This is episode number 572. And tonight, Sasha...
Yes!
We've got an unenveloping.
Yes.
We're going to be looking at LMDE 3 Linux Mint Debian Edition because I really want to be using Linux. Stick around.
This is Category 5 Technology TV.
Our live recordings are trusted only to solid-state drives by Kingston Technology. Revive your computer with improved performance and reliability over traditional hard drives with Kingston SSDs.
Category 5 TV streams live with Telestream, Wirecast, and Nimble Streamer. Tune in every week on Roku, Kodi, Plex, and other HLS video players. For local showtimes, visit category5.tv.
Category5.tv is a member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. cat5.tv/TPN. And the International Association of Internet Broadcasters, cat5.tv/IAIB.
You know, I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. Or this morning, depending on where you're watching from, when you're watching.
Exactly.
But it is so great to be here each and every week.
It's true.
I'm Robbie Ferguson.
I am Sasha Rickman.
And we sent Jeff home because your microphone...
Yes.
Your microphone was completely kaput.
I can do this. I'm assuming you're not hearing crackling.
No crackling?
I can dance if I wanna. Do 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 do.
Nice.
Don't know the words. Friends don't dance, and if they don't.
Chat room says there's a whole bunch of crackle.
They did not.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Wah, wah.
So before the show, we had a great time on a Google Hangout. So patrons, viewers, subscribers on YouTube were able to join in a Google Hangout where I actually finally dissected your microphone's little unit.
Nice. And you fixed it. That's why there's no crackle.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So each microphone, see how we...
Yes.
So this is a Phantom Power Pack. So what it does is it takes an XLR 48-volt signal off of our mixing console, brings it down into a little itty-bitty cable that is our microphone.
Right.
And powers our microphone. We have 48 volts of electricity going through our brains right now. So that unit was defective. And that's what was causing the crackle. Your unit. Yeah. But yours is different from Jeff and mine. Two different eras of Category 5 because you started in Season 5?
Yes.
So that's when we got you a mic.
So mine was
And yours was... So
fresher? Mine was newer?
Yours was newer from yours was microphone,
the next generation.
Yeah. So it's not compatible in that we can't unplug mine and plug in yours kind of thing.
Right.
That's why you always have to use your pack.
Oh, I thought it was like a germaphobe thing.
No,
That's so crazy the whole time.
All
literally.
time.
Sasha, that's not your mic. I've never realized that it was a technical thing. I really thought he just didn't want my germs in any way near anybody else's mic.
It just doesn't work, Sasha. So I took it apart on a live Google Hangout.
Okay.
And found the problem. What was causing the static? It's that it got twisted and the cable got damaged.
Sometimes they dance.
So I cut out the cable and I tried. I know. It happened. Rewind a little bit. And cut out that cable and started resoldering in new cable, and it wasn't holding to the board, and it's not meant for you. There's no user serviceable parts inside.
Oh.
And I'm a rookie soldering guy at best.
I have seen your skills
Developing. It's a work in progress.
Yes.
In and of itself. Fortunately for my sake, just being an internet celebrity of sorts, the video recording for some reason didn't end up getting recorded. And so there's no record whatsoever of the soldering job that Robbie did. So if you were joining us in that Google Hangout, then you are one of the few chosen who was able to experience that firsthand. So that's the story.
I'm sad I missed it.
Oh, it was.
I was at work working.
It was fantastic. So that's what I was doing before the show.
Okay.
Working on trying to solder this thing. It didn't take. It just wasn't going to work.
Right.
The circuitry.
And here's the thing. If the circuitry is not made for fixing, then there's nothing you could have done.
It's this disposable mentality.
That's right.
Like, hey, once it's broken, just throw it out and buy a new one. That's where things are at as far as consumerism.
That's an Apple way of thinking of things.
Yeah, isn't it? Not too keen on that. That's why I want to learn. That's why I want to be a maker and a fixer and be able to fix these things. I want to get to the point where, I can take that apart and fix it.
And you'll be there.
I'll get there.
Yeah. You have to start small.
You'll come along with me, right?
When you were born, you didn't even know how to walk. And look, you've been doing that like a pro.
I've been doing that for years.
See? So you'll be a master solder.
Lucky community. Marshman took screenshots of the Google Hangout, which...
they're going to be printed onto Christmas cards.
Hold on 1 second. I'm hacking into Marshman's computer. There. Deleted your entire hard drive. Sorry about that. Never happened, folks. Never happened. But anyways, as I mentioned, we had to send Jeff home because we only have 2 microphones tonight.
Yep.
That's the story.
I got one.
Nice to see everybody. Dennis Kelly says I'm great at soldering. That I know Dennis was having some technical difficulties there. Obviously, he wasn't able to see
his screen was
anything.
off. You could just hear it.
He was unable to see anything.
Okay. Well, I can give you like a little bit of a rundown on how sometimes things just don't work out the way you expect them to.
Okay.
So you may know that I had to get my tooth fixed. You might know that.
I remember this. How's your headache?
Okay. My headaches have disappeared.
Oh, fantastic.
It's incredible. I didn't realize that the tooth that was the problem is also connected to like this branch of
bone's connected to the
it's like a branch of nerves that like go like this, and one of them is in your eye. So the problem was I was having migraine-like headaches because my eye wasn't working because my tooth was so irritated. It was sending like pulses, I don't know, through my nerves, feeling like a headache.
This explains why the viewers were always asking why you're winking at them.
That's right. Also why, like, I haven't tried my contacts again since, but I thought it was my contacts because it happened around the same time.
Okay.
I was getting these headaches.
The contacts set off the
tooth problem. What? Anyway, so I didn't even realize the level of pain I was in because I'm kind of like a frog in that way. Like, you can add pain and I don't really realize it until the pain is gone. And then I've been eating things. I've been eating sweet things. I've been drinking hot coffee. I've been drinking cold water. Nice. I feel great. This is not where it ends, though. So back to your soldering job.
Yes.
I was at the dentist.
Yeah. I hope he was more skilled with the tools than I am.
He is amazing. I mean, this dentist is great, and you can do everything right, and sometimes things just don't work exactly as they should. They couldn't get the bleeding to stop inside my mouth, and so
I'm pretty sure there's something wrong.
So they put freezing in, and then they put more freezing in, and then like everything is silent, and he has like a wonderful assistant who's there like handing him something out of eye view, and I don't know what it is, and there's suction going on, and then finally he's just like, I just need to be frank with you, I can't stop the bleeding. Oh. Okay.
So what did they have to do?
He did say, do you want to take a selfie? I did.
At that point?
Around the same time, because I was joking with them with my thumbs, because that was my only mode of communication.
Isn't that nice how the dentist will speak with you?
Yeah, and
while
I'm like,
they've got your mouth all pried open, and that's when they start asking questions.
The worst part of any dentist visit is the fact that I think I'm pretty hilarious, and
so you're like,
and so I'm thinking all of these
when
funny.
We did the show with those things in our mouths.
I'm thinking all these really funny things I want to say, and I'm like, I can't. Anyway, couldn't stop the bleeding, so there's like a temporary fix in there right now.
Oh, okay.
This comes back to the microphone. He is a trained professional.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And he couldn't do that thing.
I see where you're going with this.
Right?
You're
trained professional.
Robbie, it's okay.
Robbie, you've soldered like, you can count on one hand, right? Like a few times.
Pretty much.
You cannot beat yourself up about not being able to fix.
I don't beat myself up.
The intricacies.
I will get better, Sasha.
Yes.
I will get better.
Yeah.
But the disappointment comes from there will be a point in my abilities as a solderer
Yeah.
where I can fix those things that normally a normal person, if you will, or me, would have to just replace, because it's a replaceable mentality. I have a TV sitting behind us here. You guys can't see this, but it's here. We've got a big flat screen TV that was given to us because it's broken.
Right.
And I'm determined that one day we're going to have a TV on the wall that I've fixed, because I'm going to get to that point. Because then all of a sudden you're free of that whole disposable mentality.
Right.
I mean, with your phones and things, it's a little different. I tried fixing my phone and it didn't work. My fix did not take. But something like a TV, sure, I'm sure
can
I'll
fix
eventually
that.
get to the point where I can fix that.
See?
For sure.
So, is there a way you can show like one of the selfies I took? Can you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Oh, thank you. Because
There you are.
that's a really super fun time with the dentist.
All right. Speaking of tearing into something, this has been sent to us, Sasha.
Yay!
Michael Arnold. Sent us this, and he refused to let me know what it is.
Oh, really?
Just said, I ordered something for you off Amazon. I presume it's off
fine.
Amazon. And sent it to us, but I have no idea. Do you want to just open it up and see what it is?
For the next hour.
Thanks,
Sasha,
Michael. Michael's a
opening-
viewer of Category 5 TV, a patron as well. We appreciate your support
Thank you.
very, very much. What do we have? A box.
It's a box.
It's okay. This is.
I'm doing an unboxing.
Ooh.
It's me this time.
And this is an unenveloping.
Don't open that because it'll ruin it for you.
Oh, does this tell you what it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, it says Amazon gift note from Michael Arnold. Now Sasha can be seen with her bright smile. Bring on the Sasha Show. From DJ Wheels, a.k.a. Mikel. Thank you, Michael. What do you got?
I don't know.
What is...
Oh, I do know.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Oh, I'd seen these, but I hadn't actually ever tried one. This is a studio bulb. You know the giant bulbs that we have in our lamp?
Yes.
But these are LED. Neat.
I love it.
You guys see that? Can I like get right? Look at that. There are so many LEDs on this. I feel like I'm spinning corn on the cob in the butter right now. I'm eager to try that out.
Can we plug it
Sash.
in now-ish? Like on the camera?
I don't know how. I have a lamp. Do we plug it into a lamp?
Can we?
Here, you knot that with your teeth. Get the plastic wrap off of it. And Robbie will just kind of mosey on over here. The cool thing about studio bulbs is that they're 5,500 Kelvin sunlight balanced. Okay? So what that means is that the lighting here in the studio
Yeah.
is not like this. This is 3,200, just an incandescent bulb. So 5,500 Kelvin is like, it's genuinely like sunlight.
Okay.
Okay, you want to pop that in the base there? It's the real deal, folks.
Have you ever seen Anchorman?
Yeah, years
like with
ago.
the I Love lamp? Okay.
I have no idea what you're talking
Okay.
about, though. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
It's the moment of truth. Don't stare directly into the sun. Ah!
Oh, it's so bright.
It's blinding me!
I'm going to get a sunburn. Oh, it's lovely.
Oh, it's nice. It's really
It's
nice.
thank you.
When you're in the car, though, and you put the visor down because it's super, super bright, the sun, as it's setting?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is.
It's really bright.
Wow.
There's no weird shadows on my face.
No, that got rid of the shadow.
Every shadow.
That's going to be the show from now on, folks.
And not that y'all
Check out the
need.
glare.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a
Thank
weird.
you, Michael. That's awesome.
thing.
So we traditionally have used fluorescent sunlight balanced bulbs here. But some of the patrons were looking at some of the available options and said, well, LED is the new way to go now. 1, they save a lot of electricity. 2, they don't flicker like fluorescent bulbs tend to, although at 55 to 6,000 Kelvin. K. I would say K. I think it's Kelvin.
Kelvin?
It's not Kelvin, because it would be very, very hot in here. It would... they don't flicker as much.
Right.
But these absolutely do not flicker. And of course, you're meant to get a longer life out of that as well. Cool.
Wow.
That was unexpected,
Kelvin.
so I apologize for stepping off the set here, folks. But that's cool.
I'm really happy that we're not doing the news next because I can't see a thing right now.
Are you blind now? I told you, don't look into the light, Sasha.
It's really hard not to.
Don't look into the light. Garby is really kind in the chat room, talking about my soldering job, referring back.
Yes.
And there's so many things that I like about Garby, but not today. Not today.
Not today. Wow.
That's cool. Michael, thank you. And thank you to everyone who supports Category 5 TV. That's a cool gesture, and that's something that we needed because we had one of our bulbs blow up, and I just mentioned it on the air, and now we've got a replacement for that one bulb.
Every time we get a package, can we just open it, like, on air?
Sasha, I have 3 more packages over there. I have no idea what they are.
Can we just
like grab
at
them?
Random
We
open
get so many things, like from sponsors and partners and supporters of Category 5 TV. A lot of times, though, I do the unboxing live on the air. Now, this was a different case because it came from a viewer.
I did it this time. It was a different case.
And that is a different scenario because we're not meant to unbox it on behalf of a company or something
Right.
like that, right?
Makes sense.
Very cool. I can't see the computer screen. I can't see the camera in front of me. So we'll take a really quick break. When we come back, we are looking at the latest from Linux Mint. It's called LMDE. Cindy. Stick around. For a limited time, get your hands on limited edition shirts from the Category 5 TV network. These high-quality shirts are manufactured by Teespring, a fundraising website, and your purchase will help support the shows we produce. Get yours today and send us your pictures to be featured on the corresponding show. Visit cat5.tv/shirts to support us and get your official network shirt today. cat5.tv/shirts. Welcome back. This is Category 5 Technology TV. This is episode number 572. It's nice having you here. Sasha and I are looking at Linux again.
Yes.
You're going back to school.
Yes. I am going back to school.
So what does that mean as far as like your need for computers and...
It means that this computer, which has been here weekly, just hanging out here until each show. It's my...
that you leave at the studio for use on the air.
Exactly. I'm going to have to bring it with me at the end of each show and bring it back for each show.
Back and forth.
Right?
For school. Actually get use out of the thing.
Yeah. Like
cool.
I'm actually going to have to use it for homework.
And you're using an old version of Ubuntu Mate that we installed long ago. Like, I mean, that was ages ago on the air.
Exactly.
So I'm at this point where I'm very envious of you because you have Linux exclusively.
It's true.
Exclusively on your computer. I have this terrible thing where, hey, I need to do video editing.
Right. I do not need to.
DaVinci Resolve has come a long way, and I'm so dreaming of a day when I can just go entirely, exclusively Linux and not touch Windows ever again. That's my dream. Obviously, our Telestream Wirecast unit is running Windows. It's either that or Mac, right?
Right.
But my laptop, I also have to have Windows 10 on it because I do a lot of my editing on my laptop.
Right.
So you maybe have tuned into New Every Day from Category 5 TV. That show is produced on my laptop. that's how I do it, because I don't want to be working 24/7. I want to be able to sit with a cup of coffee on my back deck, and I actually do that.
Right.
I sit on my back deck with the birds chirping and the cicadas going, and work on new every day, and that's my Tuesday night.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I'm stuck on Windows. So, Sasha, I need you to help me, and I need the community to help me figure out, well, how can I switch to Linux exclusively?
You can borrow my laptop.
Perfect. Problem solved.
See?
End of show.
Just like that.
So the question becomes, like, what is Linux, and how does Linux differ from Windows, and why do you need to do it? Linux is an alternate operating system for your computer. So when you go out and buy your computer, you can keep using Windows if that's what came with it, or you can wipe it out completely and put Linux on it. Well, why would you want to do that?
I just want to interrupt you with like the way I visualize the difference between the two, which I don't know if is accurate.
Okay.
But in my mind, Windows is like one person sitting on the top of the company and being like, you guys all have to do this. I have all the ideas. You have to buy this. Nothing else will work. And then Linux is like a group of hands just like lifting a company up, and nobody's on the top. The end.
Linus Torvalds is there pushing the PRs.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the kind of the analogy.
Right.
I see Linux in that regard as more, and totally along that line, but it's so community driven.
Right.
That it's like, hey, you've got an idea? Oh, I love that idea.
Right.
I know how to do that. So you give me your idea, I'll actually make it happen. What do you think? Do you like it? Sweet, let's give it to the world, right? And that's kind of this community feel of Linux, is that everything is built by the community.
Right.
So when you have ideas, when I have ideas, those ideas can be shared. If I'm not a programmer, I can share them in the forums and things like that. And developers then pick up those ideas and create the software. It's so community-minded. It's such a wonderful platform, and it's so rock solid. Now, I need to decide how I can make that switch completely. And my caveat is that I need to be able to do video editing, plain and simple. And I mentioned DaVinci Resolve. It's come a very long way. I love the color correction capabilities of it, but the editing is
not yet
lacking.
It's just not yet.
Yeah, but they're getting there.
Right.
It's a commercially backed piece of software.
Do you have an idea that you can just throw out there that somebody can...
I want to look at various Linux flavors over the next several weeks.
Okay.
We've had multiple Linux distributions installed, and we've compared them side by side and said, let's try this, let's do that. We've done installations of things like Ubuntu Mate. We've done installations of Linspire and things like that. Even Debian. And then went on our way. But can we, as a community, can we look at various distributions and see what one is going to work best for me? And somewhere along the way, you might say, oh, well, the one that Robbie thinks is going to work best for him isn't really the one for me, but that other one that they showed 3 weeks ago, that's the one that I want to get.
This is going to be a great series of shows. This reminds me a little bit of when everybody got together when I was building the computer for Dave, and everybody just put their input in, and it turned into this incredible machine.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what's going to happen with you, is we're going to go through all of these different ideas. People are going to throw their ideas at us. We'll try them out, and you're going to end up with an incredible system.
Oh, I can't wait. And I can't wait to get that freedom. So we know that I need to be able to do video editing.
Yes.
But let's look at some of the distributions that are available out there. And maybe you don't need to do video editing, but you might want to see what is out there. Yeah. So tonight, as we kick off this series, I'm going to be looking at LMDE 3, aka Cindy from Linux Mint. Linux Mint has created this distro and called it LMDE, which stands for Linux Mint Debian Edition. So their developers have said, well, what would happen? Here's a scenario. Let's just put this out there, guys. What would happen if Ubuntu ever folded, disappeared, went commercial? Then where would that leave Linux Mint?
Right.
Linux Mint being based on Ubuntu.
Right.
Well, Debian is a rock-solid OS that, in fact, Ubuntu is based upon. So let's skip that Ubuntu step and let's bring out a distribution that is still Linux Mint, but that is based on the very thing that Ubuntu itself is based on, cutting out the middleman.
That's right.
Right? So LMDE is just that. And it's still young. I mean, we're version 3 versus version 19 of Linux Mint based on Ubuntu. But it's coming along very, very well. And I'm excited about this one because Linux Mint has always been a very good one as far as the cosmetic appearance. I really like a good, sleek, attractive-looking OS.
Right.
One of the things that put me onto Elementary at the office was the fact that it's really, really nice looking. Now, as I've been using it over the past couple of years, I found that the little quirks in Elementary are what really drive me away from it. Why I would not want it on my desktop myself.
Some like tiny hiccups in the...
Things like I have 3 monitors in front of me.
Right.
And when I drag a window from one monitor to the other, there's about a 4-inch gap between each monitor.
Right.
That's not actually physically there, but it's there in the software. So when I drag something, there's like this black abyss that I have to drag it beyond.
Right.
When I move my mouse from one monitor to the other, it doesn't handle them well. And the reason it doesn't handle them well is because Elementary doesn't handle multi-monitor support where it's a mix of horizontal and vertical monitors.
Okay.
If you've ever seen my desk, I have monitors that are turned on their side. And so it sees that and says, oh, well, there should be this much space, and so it doesn't work.
Oh.
So on my desktop, I don't like Elementary, but that's what I'm stuck using for now. On my laptop, I want something that's just as sleek, but I want it to be rock solid. I want it to do very, very well for me, and I want it to be something that I can feel comfortable on.
Right.
LMDE is based on Debian, and I love Debian. It's all I use on my servers. I just can't. I've tried Arc, and I've tried to get into Gen 2, and I've tried BSD, and I've tried Yum-based systems like CentOS and Red Hat, and I just...
Right.
And OpenSUSE is another one that I've tried, and I just can't get into it. I just can't... I love Debian. I absolutely love Debian. So when I'm working with Ubuntu and things like that, I can feel at home on Ubuntu. I can feel at home on Elementary because it's based on Ubuntu, which is based on Debian. I can feel at home on Linux Mint, especially their Debian edition.
Okay.
Because it's based
on
Debian.
Yes.
And if that means nothing to you, if you don't even know what Debian is, it doesn't really matter because it's all a matter of personal preference.
Exactly.
But once you've tried various Linuxes, just know that there are the granddaddy Linuxes that other Linuxes are based upon. And when I say based upon, it's not like, oh, well, we liked what they did 15 years ago, so we're going to copy some of that and improve on it. No, it's actually based on it. So
which ones are they? They're Debian, right?
Debian, Red Hat, SUSE, like all these...
Those are like the big ones.
Debian.
And then
There's Debian.
Debian.
I don't know any of the other ones.
Debian is the one.
But Debian is like Elementary. Well, Ubuntu.
Right.
And Ubuntu is Elementary, Linux Mint, a bunch of other flavors. Obviously, Ubuntu Mate, Xubuntu, all the Kubuntu. All of those are based on Ubuntu, which is based on Debian.
Got it.
So let's just get in here and just take a quick look. Now, I have not installed this. I'm just using it on a USB flash drive. And this is one of the nice things about Linux is that you can just buy a 16 gig flash drive and install Linux to it. And you can just boot it up, try it out. Even without wiping Windows, you can try it and see if you like it. So that's what we're doing tonight. So this is LMDE, and it has the branding of Linux Mint. It just looks like it. And it's version 3, aka Cindy, and it's pretty zippy even from my cheap little USB flash drive, and it looks sleek. So this is the operating system. So you think in terms of Microsoft Windows or Mac OS, well, this is a replacement for that. This is LMDE. So let's get in under the hood. Right out of the box, we've got GNU Image Manipulation Program.
Super.
What does that look like? It's 2.8, so it's an older version. But hey, you can always...
you can just upgrade that, can't you?
Well, you can. And the difference here is that we're using LMDE, which is based on Debian, versus Linux Mint, which is based on Ubuntu. So Ubuntu's version supports PPAs.
Okay.
So you can more easily get those more current things if you use a PPA repository. This is Debian based.
Right.
So you're limited to what is available in the Debian repositories, or you can find the the deb file, or you can install it from source. So it's a little bit of a different way to do it, just as far as that goes. But it comes with it. 2.8 is not obsolete by any stretch, but 2.10 would blow your mind. What do we got? Firefox web browser. We're not talking like Iceweasel or anything. Like, this is the real deal. YouTube.com. Does YouTube work out of the box? That's my question, Sasha. That's a good test. Let's go to Category 5 TV. And let's go there.
All right.
Right out of the box. There she goes. Oh, that's live. Whoa, that's trippy.
That's weird.
I clicked on the live video.
Just broke the internet.
It's a causality loop. All right, so YouTube works right out of the box, and it's zippy, eh, guys? Like, this is pretty darn good, and I'm literally just booting from a USB flash drive. I never had to install it. You'll notice that on my desktop, I've got an Install Linux Mint button, which if I've decided, hey, this is the one, I can get rocking on it. What else does it come with? Okay, so internet, we've got HexChat, cool. Thunderbird is for email. It's like an Outlook Express kind of thing, but it has plugin extensions and add-ons, so you're able to take it one step further, add calendaring and things like that. However, it does not support things like Zimbra. There's no Zimbra connector for Thunderbird, which I'm really disappointed in the Zimbra development team for not having proper support for Zimbra connector on Linux. Very disappointed in you folks. We need to see Evolution support it. But it's still an email client. If you've got Gmail or whatever, you can use that. Transmission is for BitTorrents. Cool, it comes with it. Microsoft Office clone called LibreOffice. There it is, Sasha. It comes with it out of the box.
Cool.
Yeah, let's go into Calc, because Calc is like the Excel clone, if you will. I hate to use the word clone, but it kind of is. I mean, it opens and saves to Excel format. It works with the same formulae, and it is, in all essences, Excel. What do you see on your screen? I mean, that's what it looks like to me, and that's how it operates. I mean, it uses the same sum equations and formulas and everything else. That's Calc. And there's also Writer, which is like Microsoft Word. And I only say that because if you're coming from Microsoft Windows, I want you to know that there's an alternative that is free. Like, keep that in mind. This entire operating system, including all the software that I'm looking at right now, is totally free. Free.
You can bold it, underline it.
Oh my goodness, what can't you do?
This is good.
I want it to be very clear.
Free.
Free as in dollars, free as in beers. No free beer is provided.
They will give you free beer.
They won't. They won't. They probably won't. But understand that when something is free, you didn't have to pay for it.
Then you can afford to get your own.
Free as in beer. Free as in also the freedom aspect.
Exactly.
Is what I should say. Because you are free to share it. If you love it,
that's true.
Give it to Sasha. Give it to your family members and everything else. You're free to share it. Okay, moving along the list here, real quick, just a rundown. I love the way it looks. Sasha, I've got to be honest, it looks good.
It's intuitive. It looks user-friendly. Looks good.
I don't see anything out of the box that I dislike. What are all these icons? Okay, Firefox. These look like favorites. Software Manager, what's that? That's going to be just the basic manager. I would prefer to use Synaptic for sure. Does it come with it? It does. So I can just run Synaptic Package Manager. That's the one I prefer. That's how you install programs on Linux. One of those package managers. Cool. So if something's missing, you can just search for it and add it.
Would this do the video editing you wanted to do?
It's possible. I mean, because DaVinci Resolve is available for Linux. It's not Linux's problem. It's that we need software that is good enough.
Got it.
And DaVinci Resolve I only mentioned because they're probably the closest to a proper video editor right now on Linux. So that's probably where I'm going to start going. One thing that I do want to know is what we see when we go Mint Meta Codecs. So this is a package that doesn't come pre-installed, and it adds all the packages required for multimedia support in Linux Mint. So if you want to be able to play videos, if you want to be able to play proprietary file formats, mark that for installation, say mark, and then apply. And what that's going to do is it's going to download those meta things, codecs and everything else, and it's going to install them on your computer for you on Linux Mint, or LMDE in this case.
Right.
Really quickly, really easily. It says it's only going to take 28 seconds to be able to get that support.
Incredible.
So I'm kind of impressed right now. If you haven't looked at LMDE yet, I think it's worth giving it a chance, at least to look at it. If you're new to Linux, I would recommend that you instead look at Linux Mint. If you're interested in the look of this and the feel of this. And
Right.
the reason I say that is because it's more polished. It's even more polished. It's got a much bigger community, and it is based on Ubuntu, which is a little more user-friendly when it comes to things like setting up graphic drivers and stuff like that.
When you say a bigger community, like if you had it, like say I have it on my laptop.
Yeah.
Now I default a lot of my questions to you,
Sure.
right? You are my community.
And where do I get the answers? I go to the forums. I
Right.
go to
Okay, so that's what the community is, right? So if I didn't know you and I was here and I had a question, I would go to a forum, and that forum would have the answers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And if not, you ask the community, and they get back to you. And
Okay.
you know, it's again that community feel of Linux where, hey, you just ask other users. You've got me, and you ask me a lot of
Right.
questions, and that's cool. But you may want to get into the forums and try that out too.
Right. And if you're watching, you can also ask Robbie. Just
go
so you
ahead.
know, it's not just
Pop me an
it's
email.
not just me.
Live at category5.tv.
Of course. And Garby, yes, of course. I would go to you. I would go to the chat room for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that again comes back to community. Category 5 has a great community, and we've got a lot of Linux users as well.
Random funny chat room thing. I can't typically through the week go into the chat room when we're not live, but I have.
This thing called work.
I know. Life. I have gone into the chat room at times, and it was like the first time I actually realized that it still exists outside of the time we're here.
Oh, okay.
My mind was like blown. I was so happy. My heart exploded. I was like, okay, good. If I ever have a question, this is where I'll be.
There you go. Check out Linux Mint, or LMDE. Two different pieces of software. Linux Mint being based on Ubuntu, LMDE being based on Debian. Get them at linuxmint.com. All right, you ready to head over to the newsroom?
I certainly am.
I think I've got everything all set and ready to go, and you are good to go.
Here are the stories we're covering this week in the Category5.tv newsroom. Mozilla says it will soon be modifying its Firefox browser to block all user trackers on websites by default. Windows on ARM is now a thing. Uber says it plans to focus more on its electric scooter and bike business and less on cars, despite the fact it could hurt profits. And gene editing hopes for muscular dystrophy. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
Jeff Weston,
Yeah, man.
you're building a brand new, beautiful website,
What?
aren't you?
No. Am I?
Oh, you're a terrible actor.
What?
This is where acting comes into play.
Oh, I didn't know we were acting.
You're supposed to act.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah, I'm building a really cool website. Are you building a really cool website? Just because Jeff is confused doesn't mean you have to be. Visit cat5.tv/dreamhost to sign up for unlimited web hosting for your website with unlimited email accounts, MySQL databases, the latest version of PHP, WordPress, and more, and even a free domain name registration. It's less than $6 per month, so sign up today. cat5.tv/dreamhost.
This is the Category5.tv newsroom, covering the week's top tech stories with a slight Linux bias.
I'm Sasha Rickman, and here are the top stories we're following this week. Mozilla says it will soon be modifying its Firefox browser to block all user tracking on websites by default. Mozilla VP of Product Strategy, Nick Nugent, said on Thursday, in the near future, Firefox will, by default, protect users by blocking tracking while also offering a clear set of controls to give our users more choice over what information they share with sites. The move will see an initial trial of the feature in September, and should that work out, the Firefox 63 rollout will include a component to immediately block slow-loading trackers. By the time Firefox 65 is released, Mozilla says that it hopes to have all cross-site tracking blocked by default. The move means a shift by Mozilla from the more passive do not track system that relies on sites to recognize the notice and disable their trackers to an active feature that will instead block tracking by default and require the user themselves to opt in to the website's trackers. Users will have the option to enable trackers by default. Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, IE, and Apple Safari also support a do not track option in their browsers. The planned update would, however, make Firefox the most aggressive browser when it comes to thwarting trackers. Mozilla contends that the decision is about more than privacy. The developer notes that the slow-loading trackers are to blame for some pages taking as much as 50% more time to fully load than they would otherwise. Nugent goes on, some sites will continue to want user data in exchange for content, but they will now have to ask for it.
Interesting.
It is
And a little
interesting.
freaky.
Well, I worry because, okay, so there's the idea that the sites will load faster because there's no trackers.
I
But,
think so.
but,
That seems far-fetched to me.
well, I wonder, what do you give up? Like, okay, so trackers are there to sell your stuff, right? They track you and then they're
In a way, yeah.
privacy stealers, aren't they?
It's not always a bad thing, though.
Right.
Like we have, for example, no, we don't do banner ads. Well, there are ads on the site, but not really. Like they're not tracker ads and things like that. We used to use Google Ads on our website.
Right.
And I do use Google Ads on other websites, like other websites that I own.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is if you go on Amazon and you do a search for something,
Yeah.
then you go to my website and you're seeing ads for that same product. And it's meant to incentivize you to
Make the purchase.
yeah, to make the purchase that you're already interested in.
This is assuming that you're not Sasha. Sasha only searches for things in the 5 minutes before she's about to buy it, and then by the time she sees all the ads,
Right.
she already owns it. But and then
Yeah.
and then you get like a million ads. Like, here's this tent that you've been looking at. I'm like, wait, no, I own it.
Yeah, exactly. I already said no to that one and bought the other one. And so that can be annoying. But
Yeah.
so it's not always malicious.
Right.
No, it's a lot of times it's just to sell ad space. And that in and of itself helps free distribution and free media. We got to realize that the web is free, right? We want the web to be free.
Right.
I am guilty of it where if I'm looking on Google News and I click on a news article that's of interest to me and it says you need to sign up, back, and click on the next news article that is related to that same story.
I too am that person.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us are. So if we hate that, if we hate having to sign up and we hate having to, in some cases, pay,
Right.
like, hey, you've already read 4 articles on our site, now you need to buy a subscription if you want to read our newspaper.
I'm
That's
like,
a real thing.
I'll find
Because
it
these
somewhere
companies
else.
are trying to figure out how they can pay their staff.
Exactly.
So if we could just, it's such a catch-22.
That's the
'Cause
thing.
it's not always benign,
right.
but it quite often is. So if you block it verbatim, or just all across
Right.
the board, then you're hurting the little guys.
These things that are free, it's not like people wake up in the morning and they're like, I already have $1 million. I just want to do things for free for people, except for, well, we don't have $1 million. We want to do free things. But
If I
okay.
had $1 million
So-
dollars.
you have to make money somehow. And a lot of times it's with ads. And so a
Absolutely.
lot of times that's with trackers. So
That's what they're for. So now if you block the trackers, does the advertising revenue drop? And I think the answer is going to be yes.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that what's going to end up happening, because you have to opt in to having it done, right? You have to opt into your tracking. But the benefit of opting in would be, I think that there's going to be more incentives to opt in, right? Because if you opt out...
Yeah, like if you go to my website and it says click here to opt in to this service.
Right.
I guess it depends on how easy it is for the programmers to implement that.
Yeah.
What I have my doubts about is the claim that websites will be significantly faster, in that that feels like a jab at like Google. Hey Google, you guys are slow.
Right.
So I just ran a scan. I went to webpagetest.org and I ran a scan on NEMS Linux, because NEMS Linux I do have Google Ads on the website. Okay, my first byte is doing pretty miserably, but I've got A across the board. So let's see. This is called a waterfall, and this shows me where things are running slow so that I know the performance of my website and where I can make improvements.
Right.
So the first byte, of course, happens at nemslinux.com, and then it goes out and it gets Google's fonts, it gets Font Awesome, a whole bunch of other assets. Our CDN is cdn.zechariah.com. How cool is it that I was able to get my son his name.com?
So cool.
He's too young for it yet, but when he's older, he will
This
appreciate
is going to be a big deal.
Right? But for now, we use it as our CDN, Content Distribution Network, if you're not familiar with the term. Okay, so let's see. We've got Google Tag Manager is happening there. Where is there a performance hit? Let's scroll down. Here's a performance hit. It's happening at googleads.doubleclick.net. They're right. Is it 50%? No, it's not 50%. It's 792 milliseconds. But that's pretty significant. YouTube is also a pretty big hit, but of course, being a video website, it's to be expected.
Right.
But that's the tracker.
Oh.
And so, yeah, it's not 50%. You
No.
can see where 50% lies.
Yeah.
But it's a small amount, but it's significantly larger than any of our other assets other than YouTube, which is to be expected. What other assets are a big hit? That's it. That's the only one that stands out. And it actually happened to be DoubleClick, which is googleads.g.doubleclick.net. So maybe
There
Hey.
could be onto something.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And do you see that this, when you think about asynchronous terms as far as website load time, so all of these assets up here, see how these are all in line?
Yes.
They loaded at exactly the same time together.
Right.
So that's good. Look at what happened when ad click happened on my website. Nothing else was able to load until it was almost finished. And then it loaded the rest of my assets. See that?
Oh, yeah, I can picture how that
So it
works out actually.
stopped my website from loading for
Like I'm picturing that on my mobile phone.
Yeah.
When that happens, I know that that's happening. It's annoying.
I don't like that they're right.
Oh.
I really don't like that they're right, but we just proved it right here on Category5.tv Newsroom.
Microsoft's long journey away from Intel reached escape velocity over the past week as the first traditional laptop with Qualcomm's ARM processor was revealed by Lenovo, the Yoga C630 WOS. WOS stands for Windows on Snapdragon, how Qualcomm prefers to call Windows on ARM. And since it's a Qualcomm inside, not Intel inside, it gets to call the shots. This is the second always connected PC from Lenovo to run a Qualcomm chip, but the first to run the Snapdragon 850 processor. Officially announced last year, the Microsoft Qualcomm Alliance Always Connected was created to produce chips with support for legacy x86 instructions into an ARM processor, which should result in full-blown Windows running on devices with greater power efficiency than Intel could manage. How much more efficiency? Qualcomm says 25 plus hours of local video playback on a single charge.
Whoa!
That's right. This particular Yoga is a smart but generic machine with a 13.3-inch touchscreen convertible display. There is an LTE modem built in, and the 2.9 gigahertz Snapdragon 850 system has 4 gigabytes of RAM. They're expensive, but Lenovo reckons that those enterprise users will pay that for longer battery life. Microsoft's last attempt to put Windows on ARM showed that most legacy applications were so deeply reliant on x86 quirks that only a subset could run, and customers didn't want a subset. Windows RT was short-lived.
Yeah, was it ever?
Yeah.
This is why we see Raspberry Pi, Linux this, Linux that. Everything's Linux on Raspberry Pi because it's an ARM processor. And
Right.
so Linux is ported, Windows not so much.
Right.
So now they're taking a different approach, and hey, here's a Qualcomm processor that'll let us do what we want to do.
Do you think that increased battery life will let people, like, do you think that that will be the draw that people will spend that much more money on is the
If
thing?
I was a trucker,
Yeah.
I would want a 25-hour battery life. Could you imagine if you were going from stop to stop, how brilliant that would be? Or in business, where you're out in the field and you don't have to recharge the battery except once a month.
But would you would you trust it though? Like, here's the thing. So I just got a boogie board,
Yeah.
and it runs for 1 week without charge.
Is that what they say? And that's what the air quotes mean?
I've never tried to run it 1 week without a charge.
You've
Never
just done
ever.
it.
I've just never done it. I mean, I just got it, but
You're just so used to having to charge your phone.
I
every
just
single
charge
day.
everything I own as often as I can, assuming I'm not going to ruin the battery by charging it. How often am I playing something for 25 hours and not...
Well,
See,
you say
that's the
that.
thing.
And I look at my Bluetooth headphones, for example.
Right.
And with that, they claim 19 hours battery life.
Right.
And so you think, well, when are you ever going to listen to music for 19 hours?
Right.
But 19 hours of battery life to me means 2 weeks of listening to music for about an hour every night while I clean dishes or do things around the house or work on my computer.
Do you wait till they die before you charge it, though?
I don't always, but I tend to get that notification on my Bluetooth headphones that says, battery low.
You and I are different in that regard. I will let my gas tank run to empty before I
Okay,
fill it.
okay.
But my battery life for my things, like, that's why I read this news story and I thought, okay, yes, it's great. Except that for me, the battery life isn't that much of a big, like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm never not around power. I can always
Okay,
juice it
fair
up.
enough, fair enough.
Right?
Right. But so that's not a selling point for you then?
Right. It's not that I'm not impressed and I'm
Right.
not excited about this. It's just that I wouldn't pay more for it. I'm excited about it, but 25 hours of video playback.
Think about like how now this is a laptop, so it's not something that you're going to put into a weather station. But think
Right.
about that, like the uses for this, or think about medical. You know,
Right.
being able to put it on a cart in a hospital and wheel it around, and it suddenly sounds brilliant. Now we
Right.
don't have to have wires going to this machine that's powered by this laptop. Not that you would, but I mean, that's pretty brilliant.
It's
and
brilliant,
technologically
actually.
wise,
Yeah.
the fact that, my laptop, I've got this ginormous battery sticking out of the butt end of it so that I can get 4 hours of battery life.
Right.
9 cells of juice. It's heavy on the back end, but it gives me 4 hours of battery life, which I'm very happy with. 25 hours, I would never have to charge my laptop because as soon as I set it down at home, it goes onto the charger.
Right.
So I would never have to perceptively, oh no, my battery's low, I've got to plug it in. I would never have to deal with that again.
Just, out of your mind.
Yeah,
Cool.
never an issue. Never an issue.
Uber says it plans to focus more on its electric scooter and bike business and less on cars, despite the fact that it could hurt profits. Uber CEO Dara...
I didn't make up the name, but I did write it into the teleprompter, and I apologize.
I know. Okay.
We're going to say Dara Kashanovsky.
No, I'm going to get this right.
Right?
Kosraushkahai.
Dara.
Dara
We apologize.
Kosraushkahai.
Anytime you say it, it's Dara.
Dara.
Just go with it.
Says, during rush hour, it is very inefficient for a 1-ton hulk of metal to take one person 10 blocks. He believes individual modes of transport are better suited to inner city travel. He also forecasts users would make more frequent shorter journeys in future. The ride-sharing firm has invested a number of bike firms in the last year. Its Jump electric bikes are now available in 8 U.S. cities, including New York and Washington, and will soon launch in Berlin as well. It also teamed up with Lime, an electric scooter company, while forging deals in other areas such as public transit and freight. Dara admitted that Uber makes less money from a bike ride than from the same trip in a car, but said this would be offset as customers use the app more frequently for shorter journeys. He says, "We're willing to trade off short-term per unit economics for long-term higher engagement." He also acknowledged that Uber drivers could lose out from the plan, but said over the longer term, drivers would benefit from more lucrative, longer journeys. Uber, which lost $4.5 billion in the last year, is under pressure to improve its finances ahead of an anticipated public listing. Revenue from its taxi business is rising, but the cost of expansion into new areas such as bike sharing and food delivery has meant losses have grown rapidly. Regulatory pressure is also threatening growth in some markets. This month, New York voted to impose a temporary cap on new licenses for ride-hailing vehicles to tackle congestion, while the mayor of London has said he will seek similar restrictions.
Okay. I've seen these scooters like around the cities and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
I love this. I applaud Uber for doing something that maybe doesn't make sense as far as profit goes. Like,
Or is it long term? Is it like Amazon saying, we're not making money just yet, but we will? And when we do, it'll be 2018 and we will be the biggest commerce store in the universe.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They knew it.
Uber is smart. Like, I really like this. And to tell you the truth, I mean, you don't need a driver to drive you from
Oh, sure.
one, like, you just don't need that from here to there if it's, 3 kilometers
Sasha,
or 5
I have a
kilometers.
half-hour lunch.
Right.
Okay? I get a half-hour lunch every day.
Yeah.
And that's enough time to have a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's not enough time to walk to the coffee shop that's on the corner.
Right.
But wouldn't it be nice if I could just, there's that bike, and it's a scooter, an electric scooter,
Right.
So now I can all of a sudden take this scooter to that corner, get myself a lunch, and then take the scooter back and park it on the road, like not on the road, but near the road,
Yeah.
where someone else can grab it.
Exactly.
I like that idea. So it makes sense for that use case. I'm not going to hail a taxi for that.
No.
Not a chance.
Because it feels kind of wasteful. Like, it's important if I need to go to the airport. Yeah, I would get Uber to drive me to the airport. But I don't need anything more than an electric bike or a scooter to get from.
Oh, getting around town and getting past the traffic and stuff?
Yeah. I mean,
Bikes are allowed, like, to, they're bikes.
They're bikes. You
So,
can do it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Drive it along the boardwalk, whatever.
Uber Eats is another thing that Uber's getting into. Same idea, right? Food delivery.
Yeah.
Again, just a simple way, like, that maybe they're not making a ton of money on it, but it's a simple way to diversify.
Sure.
And it feels a little bit more responsible. It feels responsible.
You like the, hey, this is greener aspect. I can sense that.
Yes.
And I like that, but I don't feel like that's their motivation.
That's not their. This is why I'm trying not to say it, even though it's really in my heart. For me, it feels environmental. I know for them it's pocketbook or something. But
or strategy.
Right. I'm hearing environmental in their message, but that's not
right.
Like, they could have appealed to me by saying, listen, this will save the world. And I'd be like, okay, I will ride an e-bike.
No more.
I did just buy a car, but
yeah, fumes. And
if this had happened 5 minutes earlier, I would have not bought my car, and I would have just taken an e-bike from Uber.
To live in a place where you can do that?
I know.
Here in Canada, like, it's just, there's nowhere in Canada that's possible.
Right.
I mean, maybe a snowmobile up north, and that could be your year-round transportation, but
my sister, before she became a midwife, she was using zip cars in Toronto. So it's a car sharing,
kind of thing,
ride sharing idea.
Right.
So exactly the same as what Uber is saying. Like, you park in a public lot and you just go in, and I don't know how you do it. You tap your thing and you have the car for as long as you need it. Mm-hmm. Now, because she's now a midwife and people have babies at crazy hours, she needs to have a car of her own. But
like, they don't like women giving birth in a zip car.
It's not ideal.
They shy away from that.
But this is the idea that Uber has, right? Like, just make transportation accessible to everybody in a way that is not so out of pocket and so bad on the environment, right?
Right.
Done.
Okay, so other flip side, thinking along that vein, who is this beneficial to? Not just the person who wants to grab a quick bite at lunch that's working, downtown. But think about the not the infirm, but people who have mobility issues.
Right.
Right. So I may not be able to go for a jog, but I can make my way to a scooter and safely drive a scooter.
Right.
And take it to the store and take it back, or
Exactly.
whatever I want to do, or go
to
visit
the
family.
doctor, right? Like your doctor's
Absolutely.
probably what, like a half an hour walk or like a 4-minute scooter ride.
Yeah.
Right?
But if
So-
if you've got mobility issues, then it just makes sense. It absolutely makes sense.
I love it.
There's a lot
Also,
of potential.
smart for Uber probably to cut out some of the drivers. Not that the drivers of Uber are
know.
bad, but it's a tricky game to
Doesn't
play
that
with.
feel like we used you to build this thing up, and now we don't need you anymore? And
I know.
don't want to leave it at that, but
But also, I kind of like it.
yeah.
I know, I'm that person. Okay. We won't leave it at that exactly, but I just feel like you
She's
might
had
as
some bad experiences, folks.
So where you going?
no.
going?
I just think if you can cut out that extra person, you can
Okay.
save a lot of
Cut
trouble.
costs.
Yeah.
All right.
Scientists have for the first time used gene editing to treat Duchenne muscular dystrophy, DMD, in a large mammal, a significant step towards effective treatment for people with the disorder. The condition, which has no cure, leads to loss of muscle function and strength and ultimately an early death. But in a study on dogs, scientists were able to partially restore the key protein people with DMD cannot make. They hope in future to test the technique in people. Duchenne muscular dystrophy, DMD, is the most common fatal genetic disease in children and almost entirely affects boys and young men. Children born with the degenerative disease have a genetic mutation that stops them from producing dystrophin, a protein that is vital for muscle strength and function. The same disorder also occurs in many dog breeds. Using the CRISPR gene editing tool, scientists were able to restore dystrophin in 4 dogs that had the most common genetic mutations seen in DMD patients by making a single strategic cut in the faulty DNA. This was done by injecting the dogs, who were 1 month old, with 2 harmless viruses that edited the genome of the dog in the cells of the muscles and the heart. Scientists have estimated that 15% or greater improvement is needed to significantly help patients. Within several weeks of the edit made in the dogs, the missing protein was restored in the muscle tissue throughout the body, including a 92% correction in the heart and 58% in the diaphragm, meaning the main muscle needed for breathing. Richard Piercy, professor of comparative neuromuscular disease at the Royal Veterinary College, said the ambition is to show that this is safe and effective in dogs and then move on into human trials. That said, they also hope the treatment will be used to help dogs afflicted with the disorder. This is the first time the technique was carried out in a large mammal. The proof of concept study raises hopes that CRISPR can ultimately lead to more effective treatments for DMD. This isn't a cure, but Darren Griffin, professor of genetics at the University of Kent, said this work represents a small but very significant step towards the use of gene editing for DMD. Any steps towards significant treatment regimes can only be good news. Dr. Kate Adcock, Director of Research and Innovation at the charity Muscular Dystrophy UK, said the next step will be to conduct larger, longer-term studies to see if the gene editing approach does help to slow the progression of the condition and improve muscle strength.
Wow.
Huge.
It's a tough scenario because it's testing on animals, which I'm not really all for, but it's like
When done right, it cures the animal.
Like this is what they're doing is they're creating viruses that when injected into a living thing goes to the DNA that it is basically programmed to go to and modifies it.
Exactly.
That's
Okay.
mind-bending. And so, why is it on a tech show? It's like the technology is so far beyond the little circuits and bebobs and diodes,
Right.
and now is at the molecular and atomic level. It's just, but it's still technology. It's astonishing.
Exactly. So, I don't love the idea of gene editing in the wrong hands.
Okay.
I don't.
Fair enough.
But let's put that aside for a second, because this is a good news story about not curing muscular dystrophy, but like fixing it once it's happened. Dave's older brother, who was like 17 when Dave was born, so like almost a father figure to Dave.
Wow.
His name was Tim, and he had cystic fibrosis. So he died at way too early an age. I never got to meet him. He was amazing, a great artist, a huge personality. He really shaped who Dave is in a large part. Cystic fibrosis doesn't have a cure. But CRISPR gene manipulation, right now, that they're not even working on that, I'm sure, right now. But if they can do this, they can do that. And that means that in future, somebody who has a family member that has some sort of irreversible degenerative disease, something that's going to lead to an early death that it really does not need to, can actually like save lives, and then ripple effect, save entire, like the world would be such a better place if Tim was in it. The world is still good, but like,
I heard it said that, and I don't know the actual number of characters within our DNA and the genome, but that you can think of DNA as being just a series of letters. And
right.
If something is misspelled, this technique is simply autocorrecting it.
Right.
Spell checking it and fixing that spelling error. And by doing that, it's correcting whatever the underlying issue is. So you say it's not a cure, but it's kind of miraculous. It's kind of amazing that, like in this test case, it's a pretty huge, significant difference in these animals.
And if it can go here, where else could it go? Like I think the BRCA1 gene that causes, breast cancer if you have it, right? If they could test for it, and then if you're born with the BRCA1 gene, if they could use this technology, and
if it's genetic and they can just fix it,
right? These are people that are loved that we can save using this technology. It's amazing,
and it's reality.
Yeah,
like this is not sci-fi anymore.
Right.
It was when we were kids watching this on movies and stuff, and now it's actually something that they're figuring out.
Right.
Which is pretty exciting.
And my hopes are that this is going to end up being the technology that doesn't divide people. I want it really to bring everyone together.
Right. Do away with genetic disorder.
Exactly.
Like Star Trek. Yay. No disease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Big thanks to Roy W. Nash and our community of viewers for submitting stories to us this week. Thanks for watching the Category 5.tv newsroom. Don't forget to like and subscribe for all your tech news with a slight Linux bias. And for more free content, be sure to check out our website. From the Category 5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Rickman.
And I'm Robbie Ferguson. It's been great having you here this week. Thank you for joining us. And we're looking forward to seeing you again, same time, same place next week.
Exactly.
Take care.